Okay, we are going to learn to use the circular pattern and the thread tool in order to make a nice full-size drive gear. So let's get started. You should have a blank document like this, a blank design. And as we know, the first thing we need to always do is save. So let's go ahead and do that. And we're going to save this as gear dash drive. The reason we start with gear is in case we model multiple different drives, we'll all have them under gear and then separated by the type of gear. So gear dash drive, save, and we are ready to go. So we are going to make this one in inches. So we want to go ahead and change our document settings. So click the down arrow and we're going to click on change active units, go from millimeters to inches, and click OK. We want to be very careful as we make this that we always start from the origin. So when we do that, let's make sure we point it out. Okay, let's get started. So we're going to start with creating a sketch, and we are going to go with the flat plane as if we're building from the bottom up. So go ahead and click the bottom plane, and let's start with the circle tool. We're going to start at the origin. Please don't start out here. Make sure you start at the origin and then just click and start moving your mouse out. We're going to go ahead and type in 12 inches. So 12, enter. Obviously, it's pretty big, so we need to scroll back out a little bit. And that looks good. So let's go ahead, finish sketch. And I'm going to hit the isometric view so I can see what I'm doing. And I'm going to extrude. So this is the only thing that can be extruded, so it automatically selects. And I'm going to extrude this 3/4 of an inch, which is 0.75 inches. Enter. Okay, so we've got a flat plate now. Okay, let's start adding on to this. So go back to create sketch. Again, we're going to click on the flat surface here because we want to be on top of what we just made. And we're going to make a little hub here. Okay, so circle tool, start from the center, and we are going to start pulling out, and we are going to extrude the, we're going to make the diameter 8 inches. Okay, hit enter, finish sketch, and let's extrude this up. We're going to extrude, make sure it's the center circle, extrude it up 0.5. Oops, that's 0.56, 0.5, enter. Okay. Once you have that, we're going to put a hole in the middle. Okay, so let's go to create sketch. Click on the plate you just made. Circle tool. And again, start from the center, the origin. And we're going to go 3 inches this time. That's going to be the size of our hole in the middle. Hit enter. Finish sketch. Extrude. Choose that center circle. And this time we're going to go downward. Now the thickness of both plates is 1.25 because we've got 0.75 for the first one and 0.5 for the second one. So I'm going to just go ahead and type in negative 1. Oops, negative. Try that again. Negative 1.25. Enter. And we've got a hole all the way through. Okay. So let's start adding some bolts on here. Okay, these are going to be the lugs that hold the drive gear on. Okay, so to do that, we want to start with a circle. So create sketch. We're going to click on this plane here. Okay, this is the hub. Let's kind of move it to the center and zoom in a little bit. Now I'm going to create a 5/8 inch circle here. So I'm going to create it somewhere around here, but I want it on this green axis. Okay, so I'm going to just put it here. We're going to move it in the exact spot in just a second, but I'm going to type in 5/8 of an inch, which is 0.625. Hit enter. And now we're going to use something called the measurement tool. So right here, the dimension tool, if you click on it, now I can tell it where to put this circle. So I want it to be from the center of the origin. Click there, and then click on the center of your circle, and then simply move your mouse out. Right now it's set at 3.5 inches. I want it to be 3 inches, and you'll see that it'll shift down when I hit enter. Okay, so now it's exactly 3 inches from the center, which is what I want. Okay, finish sketch. And I'm going to go to isometric here, and I'm going to extrude this upward because this is going to be a bolt. So extrude it upward 1 inch. Enter. Okay. Starting to make progress here. All right. So let's put a little chamfer. Sorry, not a chamfer, a fillet on the very end of that bolt because I want it to have a smooth edge. So click on that, and we're going to give it a fillet of 0.1. Hit enter. And now let's use a pretty cool tool called the thread tool. So if we hit the create menu, there's a little tool here called thread. So click on that and you'll see a big menu pop up. First thing we want to do is tell it what we want threaded. So we need to select on this face down here, not anything else like that. The only option here is the face. So click on that. You can see it kind of draws in little threads there. We want it to actually model the threads so that it cuts it out of the material. So click on modeled. Okay. We're going to unclick full length because I don't want it threaded all the way down. I just want it threaded most of the way down. We're going to change the length to 0.8. So you can see it goes down, but not quite all the way to the bottom, which is what I want. Okay. And I want to make sure that it's set to the settings for the threads that I want. So it is a 0.625 size thread. That's 5/8 of an inch. The designation is 5/8-11, which means 11 threads per inch. And it's right-handed, which is standard. And everything else looks good. So I'm going to click OK. Okay, and so you've got your first threaded bolt. Now, instead of making 8 of these, because we want 8 of these to go around, we're going to use another nice new tool called the circular pattern, which will make all this really easy. So let's go over here to create and scroll down here, move down until you see pattern. And we're going to select circular pattern. Okay, this is why we wanted to make sure we did all our work based on the origin. You'll see why in a second. So the first thing you need to do is tell it what you want patterned. And there's 4 things you have to click on. So go ahead and scroll way in so you can see what you're doing. So you're going to do the top, click on the fillet, click on the threads, and then click on this little base down here that's unthreaded. So there's 4 items selected. Okay, now you can scroll back out. Now it wants to know the axis. Okay, that's what you want the threads revolving around. Okay, so we click on axis, and we're going to click this blue line, which is the origin axis that we've been working off of. Go ahead and click on that, and you see it. In my case, it puts a bunch of threads because I just used a larger number. You may see something like this, 3. But whatever the case, you want to change the quantity to 8. And you can see it properly spaces 8 of those lugs all the way around. When you're ready, click OK. And there you go. We've got our threaded lugs all the way around. They're equally spaced, they're properly sized, and they're centered around the origin. Okay, so we're making good progress. We're almost done here. So next we want to do is make the actual gear teeth. It looks hard, but it's actually really easy. So we're going to click the create sketch. We're going to click on this initial plate here. And I'm going to move it down to where I can see just the top here. I'm going to scroll in a little bit to get a better view. And let's click on the diameter, the circle tool. Now I'm going to click, really you can click anywhere on this edge here, but I'm going to click right at where the green axis is as well. Click once, and then I'm going to pull down and type in 3/4 of an inch. So 0.75. Enter. So what I've got is a little 3/4 of an inch radius diameter going around there, and I'm going to use that to cut out a little notch. So click finish sketch, You might have to click your isometric view. Okay. And I'm going to extrude that through to cut it away. So click the extrude button. Click this little wedge that you've made here. And we want it to go downward. And we know that's an inch thick, so I can just keep dragging it. Or you could just type in 1 inch. But as long as I drag it more than an inch, I'm good. Hit enter. And you can see if I go to the front view, oh, not the front view, the top view, you can see I've cut that out. Okay. So let me tip this a little bit towards me so I can see what I'm doing. And I'm going to zoom in. And let's go to my fillet tool. So fillet, I'm going to select this edge here and this edge here. And I'm going to type in 0.1. And that's going to put a nice little fillet on each one. Hit OK. And now we just need to make a pattern for this. Okay, so let's scroll back out a little bit. And let's go back to our pattern tool. So under the create menu, we're going to choose pattern, circular pattern. And you might want to zoom in again to just to be able to be precise here. But we are going to select this fillet, this little cutout, and this other little fillet. So I've got 3 things selected, and it says over here 3 objects selected. Okay, zoom back out a little bit. Now select axis. And again, we're going to choose that blue origin axis that we started with. And you can see it automatically adds a bunch of those little cutouts. So the quantity that we want, believe it or not, is 36. And you can see that that makes a nice gear all the way around. So click OK. And there you go. That is it. We've made a perfectly functional drive gear with the proper size bolts, the proper size hole in the middle, as well as the 36 teeth that we need for the gears. And this is ready to go. So go ahead and save. Okay. And you are ready to enjoy your nice new drive gear.